Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning. It's Monday, except really it's Tuesday, but this is Money Monday. This is the Open Money team, Michael and Ernie from the Freaking Coffee Shop in Tin Town in Comox Valley on the west coast of Canada. And it's the morning after our Labor Day weekend holiday, which is why Monday became Tuesday. But it's 10:30 instead of 10 because I had some wardrobe malfunctions. I couldn't find my headset. But I've got it, and we're started, and it's 10:30, and I'm here with Ernie. And our basic topic today, which will be brief because nobody's phoning in to talk to us at this point, and if you don't talk to us, then we just talk to each other, and that's a limited art form, and we're not going to push it too far. So today we thought we'd talk about imminent developments in the field. Ernie's going to lead off with a brief editorial in response to the Schumacher Society's call to arms. And here's Ernie.
Yeah, I don't know about the editorial part, but there was something that came in on a Skype chat this morning about a celebration that the Schumacher Society is holding to commemorate or to celebrate the 2 millionth Berkshire that has been exchanged. And this is the world, this is the I guess the cream of the alternative currency, complementary currency world. And so we thought we'd try and sort this out, what this actually means, because they're celebrating what is considered to be a very successful alternative currency enterprise. Now, the difficulty we have is we don't really know what that means, the number, first of all, 2 million Berkshires exchanged. And the other thing we don't know, although we have tried from time to time to discover, and that is what the program actually costs. So it seems to be that there ought to be some kind of reporting of cost-benefit, some kind of cost-benefit analysis of yet another alternative currency, like Lithica hours and time banks and that sort of thing, in terms of what they actually cost and what the benefit is to the community. So perhaps, Michael, you might comment on that.
Well, I might comment on it. Of course, one of my comments is not even just about the costs and the performance of the project as described, and it's been running now for a couple of years. My issue would be, what's it for? I have on occasions expressed my concern about these paper for cash currencies. The Toronto dollar, the Salt Spring dollar, the Berkshire now. The idea that we can make a currency real by assuring its convertibility. That is, this money is solid because you can always turn it back into hard cash. That's a worthy tactic if you're determined to keep things, comfortable in the mind of the conventional wisdom. But I have to ask, what on earth is happening? Is anything happening? See, I'm looking at it this way. Suppose Ernie and I come to town, and I've got cash dollars, and he's got a pocket full of loose change, huge bucket of quarters. And somehow or other I decide that it would be better for the economy if I used quarters instead of the dollar bill. So I give Ernie $100 bills, and he gives me 400 quarters. Now, because we're good buddies, we walk around town together. We just keep walking around town. And I'm just spending these quarters, and I'm spending these quarters, and I'm spending these quarters. Now, at some stage or other, I may run out of the quarters, or... Well, what has happened? Ernie's right beside me. He's got the dollars. I've got the quarters. We're spending the quarters now instead of the dollars. Have we changed our economy? I don't think so.
Well, presumably, I think the idea here is that the quarters, which are the equivalent of Berkshires, are not, they're not, they stay in the community. Basically, they circulate amongst the merchants and the people in the, Great Barrington area? Great Barrington, and that the idea that this is a circulating community, well, in their case, they call it alternative currency. So presumably, if those Berkshires aren't cashed in and they continue to circulate, and more people buy them, and they circulate more and more, that's the intent.
Yeah, well, it's the intent, but is it real? I mean, in every economy, there's a lot of sort of in and out and slush around. Some cash in every economy is part of the circulation around and around. The loose change, pennies, quarters. In Canada, we use dollar coins and $2 coins as well. Now, you go to the bank and you cash a lot of these in. If you're a retailer, you've got tons of this stuff. You turn it into dollar bills backwards and forwards. Now, my argument would be that creating a third form of so-called currency, the Berkshire, the paper currency, just ties into this same slush and float cycle and actually changes not one consumer purchasing decision, not one retail to wholesale purchasing decision, not one wholesale to manufacturing decision. It changes nothing except the perception that a few people have that somehow or other they've changed something. It's a feel-good factor. It's a cosmetic touch. I mean, there were people, I'm sure, who in the old days when the horseless carriage first came up, Christ, we need a horseless carriage. So what did they do? They got their old horse and buggy, and they painted wheels on the side of the horse. And they said, it's not a horse, it's now a car, an automobile. It's not, mate. It is still a horse with wheels painted on it. I mean, this takes us back to the Monty Python level of dead parrots nailed to perches. The Berk is not a new money. Not, under any circumstances, conceivable as new money. Merely a different form of the old, which moves around and supposedly convinces some people that they're being local. Now, my biggest question about this is, who else believes this? I've talked with various protagonists of these currencies who say, well, actually, we realize they don't do anything, but they're good for the image. They're good for raising consciousness. Now, I have questions with that, too. Why raise consciousness of horses with wheels painted on them? I mean, it's not either... You haven't changed anything, so why raise consciousness falsely? Why confuse? Well, people say, well, don't worry, everybody's confused about money. We might as well have them be confused this way up as well as that way. All right. But I guess I've got to ask fundamentally the big question of the Schumacher Society, of the protagonists of this program. Chris Lindstrom, Susan Witt, Eric Harris-Braun. Is this real money, or is it just a piece of paper that goes around pretending something on the basis of raising consciousness? And if the latter, what sort of consciousness are we actually raising? Passing it back to Eric.
I think there's another issue that we haven't talked about with currencies or alternative complementary currencies such as the Berkshires and Ithaca Hours and numerous other such alternative currencies, is that they are essentially singular in nature. And I think that a huge part of the problem from the open money perspective is that once there is a currency such as the Salt Spring dollar or the Toronto dollar, the Burke, the Ithaca Hour, and it becomes entrenched, and it's very, very difficult for other currencies to emerge. Well, it has been difficult for other currencies to emerge. That is going to change very soon, though.
Yeah, part of the problem with a single currency is, particularly if it's done in paper, it tends to fill the till. If you're a small merchant in a city and somebody comes to you and invites you to participate in a local currency of some sort, you're likely to be able to accept one currency, your neighborhood network, maybe in $10 denominations, maybe 20s. But suppose there were 5 other currencies in the community that also wanted to do this, and they had their 5s and 10s, and they were different artwork, and they were different technologies of presentation, different sizes of bills. Of course, nobody's going to touch it. So we have the problem that you put one currency in the way, and it is in the way. Now, if it also is true that the one currency you put in the way is pure fiction, is a facade, is an empty, pointless, vague delusion, deception, then it's a multiple criminal activity. This is not negligence. This is outright deliberate confusion. And so many people, they think, oh, money bad, meaning big money, government money, legal tender, all those things, bad, bad, bad. Federal Reserve, bad, 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 bags, yeah. They got all that story. Then they think alternate, either or. I'll use this piece of paper. Then I'm not doing that. And once they think they're doing something, then it's really difficult to get them to think accurately, intelligently, a little bit further, a little bit past this limitation. So I think you could say on this post-Labor Day, Money Monday on Tuesday at 10:30, we may be a little late, but we are here at the freaking coffee shop in downtown Tintown on the edge of Courtenay, part of the Comox Valley, on Vancouver Island, BC, west coast of Canada, North America. We're here and we're fed up with the Burks. We're just fed up with the Burks. We've got to hear something from you guys. Anybody out here want to defend a Burke? Tell you what, come online and have a chat with us. We're up a lot of the time. We can put it straight on Blog Talk. We can have a conversation, and you can explain to us what's so good about a Burke. Why do you need a Burke? What you going to do with a Burke? You going to share it? Well, anyway, I'm being a little flippant, but frankly, we reached the point where sheer derision may be the only strategy that will have any relevance at all in this context. Passing it back to Arnie.
So, enough of slagging the alternative currency world. Perhaps we ought to talk a little bit about the open money world and what's happening and where we're headed with this. There are some really interesting things coming up. Michael is headed to Irvine, California for a conference workshop that is sponsored by the Department of Anthropology, University of California, Irvine, and by the People and Practices Research Group, Intel Research. And then at the end of that week, there's Barcamp Bank, Vancouver.
Two very entertaining events. Now the first of these, the Intel-sponsored event in Irvine, the headliners there are Keith Hart of thememorybank.co.uk. He's a professor of anthropology, author of a book called The Memory Bank, and definitely the most intelligent person in these areas that we've come across in the past 20 years. Also from Microsoft Research India, Jonathan Donner, social scientist, is going to be talking about link-ups between Gurmeen and others, I believe. Anyway, there'll be a lot happening, and it'll be very entertaining. You can trace it at emoney.typepad.com. That's where you can find all the current information and abstracts of the presentations to be made. I'm going to be speaking in one of the opening panels following the keynote by Keith Haar. And I'm going to be speaking about Money 2.0. We're getting quite glib about Web 2.0. Yeah. We a Web 2.0 operation, or are we still in Web 1? Web 1 was when people thought that the internet was like a big billboard. It's just a billboard. It's a load of billboards. It's billboard. And you just stick up your site and people would find it, like they do on these tattered community billboards you see in cafes, coffee shops, and laundromats. Well, posting your information was a low-grade form of importing an old idea into a new frame. And Web 2.0 has emerged as people's use of the internet has begun to reflect what the internet can provide. So the very behaviors of Web 2.0 users is utterly different from what Web 1.0 was. Same with money. Digital money, 90% of what they call digital money, hey, call that 99.9% of what they call digital money, isn't any different from the old stuff. It's a digital moving of the old. We're still shifting the old stuff around without recognizing that this context fully reflects the idea that money is information, that we can create monetary models, systems of information exchange that support real trading in the real world at a dollar-based level with full tax accounting and legitimation. But this is money that knows its information, that just goes around, that's part of the new neo-tribalism. Now, that was a double whammy. New neo-tribalism, not the old neo-tribalism. This is the new neo-tribalism. The capacity for people to be part of many communities and to support those communities of interaction, exchange, contribution, engagement, growth, development with their own metrics, their own monetary or reputation scores. Whatever you like to play, Open Money will do it in many dimensions. That's what I'm going to be talking about in Irvine. Straight back from Irvine on the late flight into Vancouver at midnight, ready to roll in the next morning at the Barcamp BC show. Now, what do I have on the Barcamp BC show? Well, if you go to tinfoiling.org, which is somewhere in here, I think I had it up. Oh, I moved it. Yes, here it is. We have a summary. Now, one of the organizers says, this is my fourth Barcamp bank, and one that will hopefully start to, quote, foster innovation and the creation of new business models in the world of banking and finance in our geographic area and beyond. The direction is long overdue. They say Gene Blishen, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Mount Lehman Credit Union in the Fraser Valley, and a leader in small-scale community operations, running a credit union, one of very successful small credit unions. He says, I've repeated numerous times the ability and opportunity for financial institutions to create new products and services has never been better. All the building blocks are there. The only hampering item is ourselves. We've created structures that make it difficult to foster innovation. We fail to keep our eyes focused on the end event, get caught up in the mundane and minuscule processes. And then he goes on to list some of the fascinating people who are going to be there. People from Van City, from Citizens Bank, from other credit unions in the area, from banks south of the border in Washington State. It's going to be a very interesting meeting, 2 days of think tanking. Now, the proposition we're going to be laying before these people is that the community way concept, which anybody can look at openmoney.org/CW, openmoney.org/CW, you can see the basis of a recirculating currency driven by business credibility, creation of a new money, supports nonprofits, community projects, investments in the community, engages the general population in a loyalty loop, loyal to their nonprofits, loyal to the businesses that support them. A very simple win-win-win circulation, which frankly we find incontrovertible and undeniable. But it's been in front of Van City several times since the early 90s. It's been proposed to Citizens Bank in the late 90s and early 2000s. It's been up on the web for, now 12 years. There's been a full exposition of this concept on the web. And we have had trouble getting people to go for it. Well, I'm going to return to Gene Blishen's line. So all the building blocks are there. The only hampering item is ourselves. We fail to keep our eyes focused on the end event, get caught up in the mundane and minuscule processes. Well, Gene, Tim McAlpine, William Azeroff, you're the people who should, I think, be taking a good hard look at openmoney.org/CW. You will find out a little slideshow that only takes 3 or 4 minutes to rattle through, paying close attention to everything, and rattle back again 2 or 3 times in that 4 minutes. So I'm hoping that when we meet in Vancouver in a couple of weeks on the 20th, you guys are going to be up to speed on this stuff. And now I pass you back to Arnie to talk about Vancouver.
Vancouver. Well, there are a number of people and organizations in the downtown east side, in and around the downtown east side, that are looking seriously at Community Way to help the organizations in the downtown east side, such as DERA and Carnegie and Gallery Gachet and Portland Housing Society, Pigeon Park Savings, United We Can, many of these organizations doing incredibly terrific hard work with very few resources, basically bootstrapping from the ground up. And what we're about is showing how Community Way, by bootstrapping itself, i.e. financing its own development, can help these organizations deal with a lot of these problems of homelessness, poverty, drug addiction, just by providing the money resources that they're lacking. And in the process, people and businesses and organizations are going to learn much about community currencies and open money systems.
Well, to learn the simple circulation concept is the first thing. You know, the Community Way project is a simple demonstration of recirculating money. And the idea is to show that, hey, we can use the hard money and it's gone. It just is. So businesses donating hard money, good work from them. Thank you very much. But does it have any effect on their sales? Does it come back to them? Is there a loyalty? No. Doesn't matter how much good work they do with hard cash. It's good work, but it's not turning into dollars at the till. So the businesses get to win from finding out how a good act of corporate social responsibility, when well engineered, can turn into better sales, better loyalty, better relationship with the local community. And how does it do it? Freely, my friends, without cost. No hard cash up front or ever. The businesses simply find out that they've been trudging through the mud of a tight, sluggish economy, and right beside them there's a free-flowing river called open money. And so if you want to have your business in both streams, and you must, you can't get out of the mud. Sorry, the mud is here forever. You're going to have to live with that junk and mess, and it's hard. But if you're making it in the mud fight, imagine just how much better it's going to be when you're in the free-flowing river as well.
Not one to replace the other, but just making sure that we have everything going. So that's what Community Way is. It's a quick demonstration. The money that goes around is a good idea. Or as Martha Stewart might have said, it's a good thing. It's not the end thing. It's just a beginning. It's a quick demonstration, and surely incontrovertible demonstration of the benefit. You know, when the first spreadsheets came out, nobody knew quite what to do with spreadsheets. Very interesting idea, but what do we do with it? And somebody invented, the master's degrees in business administration. The students in those courses do cash flow analyses about 5 times a day. And it's a long, tedious pocket calculator, pencil and eraser sort of deal. Well, with the spreadsheets, it was simple. Change the cell, change the numbers. Oh, I see. What happens if the sales go up? What happens if the costs go up? What happens if this happens? What happens if that? So the spreadsheet was demonstrated by this one application. Then all of a sudden people said, oh, I see. We can use this for all sorts of things. Right. That's what we're doing with Community Way. It's not the Community Way is all of it. It's just, look, you want to know what this stuff does. You want to know if it's easy. Well, here's the simplest, cheapest, in fact, not even cheap. It's generative. This makes money. Hands up all the Berks who can say they're making money. How much money goes into running a Berk show? Well, never mind. We'll find out one day. I'm sure somebody one day will say, well, we put N,000 into this. And then one day they'll be able to evaluate what they got out of it. C'est la vie. But with Community Way, it's very straightforward. It's a demonstration that you can raise a sum of income provided that 10 times the income to the project is provided to community projects, charities, goodwill, whatever. So large demonstration of productive effort, small diversion towards the funding of development, a clear-cut demonstration of the power of a perpetual money machine. And we're about to hit the road with our rolling money. So the goal is to raise $1 million for good works in Vancouver in the first 6 months and $10 million in the year thereafter. And that's not pocket change. This is money that organizations in the downtown east side and indeed all over the Vancouver region. We do know the Olympics are coming. The Olympics are going to cost an incredible whack of dough that people all over the province are going to be paying for many, many, many years to come. And so if we don't get our act together, if we don't start supporting these organizations with our own money, our community currencies, our Community Way dollars, then there are going to be a lot more homeless and poor people in this province over the years to come. So here's an opportunity for everybody to get together. It's a win-win-win all the way around. Nobody loses anything on this game. And so this is it. We've got 1 minute left. I'm Ernie Jacob. Michael Linton and I have been at the freaking coffee shop in Tin Town on the northwest coast of Turtle Island, and we'll be back here next Monday at around 10 o'clock. And in fact, we may be back here more often and more frequently than that. Blog Talk Radio, a wonderful service, provides the opportunity for anybody to track some sound, lay it down. People can check in at the time. They can listen live. They can check in later, listen to the podcast. And it's going to be an increasingly common appearance that we appear here and there on text chats, like the CC Collective text chat on the Skype system, and invite people who are currently live on that text chat to just come in on our system, listen to us, chat with us, raise their questions, make their comments. Let's get interactive. So, interactivity, coming soon to a theater near you.
And if you want to get in touch, I'm Ernie at openmoney.org. Michael is MWL at openmoney.org. So if you
if you have any complaints or comments or disagreements with anything that we've said, drop us a line and maybe join us on Blog Talk Radio, openmoney.org.
Yeah, we're just checking out this. Although the show is on and not streaming, this will still be added to the podcast. I think it'll be on the podcast. So even if we run out of live stream, there are times when we can still be holding conversations, and that conversation will be a historic event, archived for the universe. Okay. Now he says hang up. And I think he's probably right.